Well, hello everybody, it's me, Mitch, down here in Florida, preoccupied with the coming storm, and although it's going to be on the other side of the state from me, based on the size of Helene and the size of the wind field and the incredible rain that's going to come in those huge feeder bands, I have to prepare. I have to get ready for this storm. Fortunately, I don't have to do any additional shopping. The benefits of a carnivore lifestyle is when it comes to things to just survive, can almost survive without anything. I know that if I had to fast for 3 days, it would be fine. It would actually probably be healthy for me. So worrying about having a meal every 2 hours or a snack is not a concern. Not the concern that 99.9 something percent of the people in this country have to concern. And they are right out now, today, in the entire southeastern United States. They are out trying to clean out the stores. Bottled water, snacks, food, boxes of this crap and that crap. They are, as usual, buying up every roll of toilet paper, every paper towel, every case of bottled water. They're spending an enormous amount of money. Some may need it, some may not. Me, I'm here by myself. Let's see how well I'm stocked up in the food department. Let's take a quick look here at my refrigerator. My refrigerator is empty. I have one package of defrosted ground beef. I have bacon and eggs. I have some filtered water, some San Pellegrino, probably maybe a half a dozen bottles left, some butter and some bacon grease, and that's about it for my refrigerator. Let's see what I've got in my freezer. I think I could survive as long as we don't have a power failure long enough for this thing to thaw out. And I know I'm good for at least a full day if I don't open the freezer door. So I got enough bacon for months. I've got steaks in here, chicken thighs in here. I've got some ribs in here. I've got some pork meat. I've got more ground beef. And I've even got some pre-cooked pork belly, if I want, that I could slice up and fry it in a pan. I am not going to starve to death. That's for sure. In the door here, I've got all kinds of fish stuff. I've even got some soup. Some of that leftover beef and bacon and hot dog soup that I can heat up. So as long as I've got some power, and we'll talk about my considerations to make sure that I've got power. So we'll talk about my power preparations in a minute. I've got plenty of food in my pantry. I've got plenty of canned salmon. Still got a few tins of sardines and anchovies sitting there. I've got tuna. I've got plenty of canned tuna and even got some pork rinds. I'm good as far as food goes, and there's no chance that this old guy's going to starve to death. I've got plenty of coffee. I've got a coffee maker. As far as water goes, I probably won't need it, but I do have down here, I have plenty of coffee, as you can see, and I do have a case of big bottles of Smart Water. But I can't imagine our water going off in a storm without high enough winds to do severe damage here. But just in case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill a couple of pitchers just with tap water. I'm going to fill this full of water. And I'm just going to stick it in the refrigerator. Now, another thing that I'm going to do, believe it or not, is I'm going to take a couple of Ziploc bags and I'm going to fill them with water. Now, I could drink this water if I had to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like 3 of these and I'm going to put them in the freezer. I'm going to put them in the freezer and they'll turn into big ice cubes. That'll do 2 things. That'll give me a little backup water if I need it. Make sure they're sealed up real good so they don't leak all over the place. And then I'll put them in the freezer, and I'll go ahead and finish that off after we're done with this video. But that'll give me some ice in the freezer, which will help prolong the length of time that that freezer can sit with the power off. Because that cold water is cold, it's ice. It becomes like a cooler. And I'll put maybe 3 of them in the freezer here. I got my little freezer outside. In that freezer, I've got 3 big bags of ice. And that'll do the same thing for out there. I will not worry about my freezers or my refrigerator unless my power is off for a full day. Then I'll start worrying about it. That's not a major concern. So that takes care of the fact that I've got enough food. I've no doubt it's going to survive any power failures that we have because we're not in the path of this storm. Not likely that our power is going to be knocked out for a week or more like it will in some of the poor people that live in the panhandle. So I've got my water taken care of. I've got preserving my food supply. Now I need to be concerned with cooking the food. And what I have down here, tucked in a corner of this cabinet, is some butane fuel. Okay, what I have here is a portable dual fuel stove. This thing here has, let's take it out of the box. This thing here holds one of these cans of this fuel, which is butane, and also has an attachment here if I want to hook it to propane. And I have a propane torch and a couple extra bottles of this propane fuel, and this cooktop will also work on that. So I'm good on this little cooktop, even when all my electricity is out, and I certainly don't have backup power to run the cooktop or the stove or the oven or any of that stuff. I can cook everything by just taking a frying pan, can make my bacon and eggs on this, I can make my hamburger patties on this. I can do anything. I can live without all the gadgets, the air fryers, the vacuum sealers, the stove, the oven. I can live without all of that as long as I can cook. This thing will be a lifesaver should we have a power failure that extends at least a day. But I know that I have this. I have a link to this on my Amazon links page of my website at oldguycarnivore.com. They're not that expensive. Personally, we never know what's going to happen. If I had to evacuate, I could throw a bunch of food in a cooler and take this with me and pretty much camp out between my backup power supplies that I have. And this thing, I'm good. I'm good. If I have to evacuate, hit the road because a storm is coming right this way. So this is great for home. It's great for if you have to evacuate. Comes in a nice little case, not expensive. I think everybody should have one of these. You can find a link to this exact one that I have on my oldguycarnivore.com site on the links to stuff I use page. Check it out. I know that sounds like a commercial. It is. But if you ever have a problem, the first thought that's going to hit your head is, holy cow, am I glad we listened to Mitch. My coffee maker, that takes care of the food, that takes care of the water, that takes care of ways to cook it. I also have a barbecue grill outside that I can also use if I want to grill a steak because it's propane powered. My smoker's electric, I can't use that. I'll survive. I will survive. I'm covered. I'm covered. So that takes care of eating and drinking. I'm pretty well covered. Now let's talk about power failures. I've just bought some things that will actually, give a little light in here, will actually ensure that I won't lose frozen food. I'll have power to power my entire computer system and office because I picked up two of these EcoFlow Delta 2s at a hell of a deal. That deal is still good. These things are $1,000 units, but I'll let you in on a little secret. They have announced the newer version of this, which is going to be the Delta 3. It's going to cost about $1,000. So they've got a really good sale going on the Delta 2s, which are great units. And certainly, if you can get them at half price, there's nothing about the newer units that that compel that you got to have one of them. They've made a few little refinements that won't make much of a difference. These things will power a refrigerator or a freezer for a full day. They'll power my entire studio in my office for at least 4 hours. They'll allow me to continue to work and create YouTube content with no interruption. I can charge these from a small gas power generator I have and charge them in an hour. So that brings me to the final piece in the puzzle of my plan to have power. Now, I won't have air conditioning, but with one of those EcoFlow Delta 2s, I can run lights, TV, I can power my entire network infrastructure, I can power a fan or two, which I have, small fans, to keep the air moving. And I've been through power failures. And if it's raining like that, and if it's not real sunny, it doesn't get that hot and sweltering in the house. And just having some air moving, and just having some lights, and all these lights are LED, they draw very little power. I'm good. I'm good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go outside, and I'm going to get the generator out, because it hasn't been running a couple months, and fire it up to make sure that when and if I need it, it's going to run. It's going to run. So we're going to get the generator out of where I keep it. It's a heavy little puppy. It's a 2 kW generator. I can run things on this too. Problem is this has to sit outside. Those battery power generators that I have inside, the EcoFlows, can be inside. They don't make any gasoline fumes. So let's get this thing out. And I'm going to do this right now before it starts pouring rain. I want to do this while it's nice and calm and dry out here. So we're going to take this and we're going to take it outside here and set this down. I've got the generator right there. It's probably going to take a little bit of pulling to start it because I haven't started it in a while. First thing I need to do with this is open the air vent on the top of the tank. I need to turn this all the way to start, which puts a choke on it. I got the exhaust facing this way, and let's see how long it takes to get it to fire up. Now well, that wasn't too bad. Let's start to get the choke off of it. It's a very quiet generator. It's a little inverter, 2,000 watt. It's worked very well for me during some previous power failures. I'm going to set and let it run here for a few minutes. The gasoline that I keep in this thing does have some Stay-Bil, which is a gas preservative in it. So it doesn't matter how long the gas has been sitting there. Stays good. I have about 15 gallons of gasoline in 5-gallon cans, also with the Stay-Bil in them. And they seem to work fine, because you don't use this that often. So, I'm going to let this run. It has a switch on it that slows it down when it's not drawing power and automatically increases the speed. So we're going to let that just sit out there. So we're just going to let that sit out there and let it run. Let it run for 5 or 10 minutes. And I know that if I need to start it now, in the next day or two, it'll start. It'll start on the first or second pull. First or second pull. And I'm set. I'm set. The freezer that I have out here in my little workshop has got 3 bags of ice in it. Not a lot of food. A couple of bags of steaks, 10-pound tube of hamburger, big rack of ribs. But this will be fine. And this, again, will probably be okay if it has to sit for 12 hours or more without power, as long as I don't open it. And then if I still get no power, I'll come up with a solution between the EcoFlows that I have inside, this little generator outside, to make sure this is powered for whatever the duration of that particular power failure might be. So, I think I'm pretty well set. I got water, I got food, I got a way to cook it, I've got enough power to power anything that I might need, even if it might seem like I'm camping in my own home, but I'm fine. And as long as we don't have any serious structural damage, which I'm not likely to have in this storm, so it's not something I'm worried about, so be it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And that about covers it. And there, I made sure, in a very short period of time, that I've got my bases covered. If I have to evacuate, most of this stuff that I just showed you, the EcoFlows, even the generator, I got a cooler. I could take food, have a way to cook it, have electricity with me, whatever devices I need, I have ways to charge them. But I don't plan to have to go anywhere during this storm. Well, that about wraps it up, my friends, short and sweet. I hope that this was informative, and I'll remind you once again in a crash and shameless commercial plug for me and my Amazon links, that if you think you might want to pick up one of these EcoFlow standby solar powered generators for half price, now's the time to do it. If you think you might like to have just sitting in a cabinet somewhere, that portable butane or propane powered cooktop, so you can prepare your carnivore food if you want to. Now would be the time to just get it and put it away. I don't have to spend a ton of time preparing for these storms because I'm basically prepared all the time. All the time. No fighting the crowds in traffic, no running through the stores, no being disappointed when everything is sold out because everybody is panicking. Get prepared and stay prepared. And there is no lifestyle like carnivore to make it almost a no-brainer to be ready for almost anything. So with that, wish me luck. I'll be posting videos as this storm is developing and showing you just how ridiculous it can get here from a huge hurricane that actually doesn't make landfall anywhere near here. I've been through these before. They're nothing to sneeze at, and if you don't take it seriously and don't have what you need, you might have a problem. Probably live through it, but who needs the discomfort? Be prepared. But until all that happens, you guys can take the rest of the day off and most certainly eat meat.